So I wonder if you remember what inequalities are. Do you remember greater than signs, less than signs, equal sign, and whatnot? So let's revisit it. Okay. So how to solve inequalities. So how to solve the what we call inequality. For, you know what, let's say 2x plus 4 is greater than 10. See, wherever we have greater than or less than signs instead of equal signs, we have an inequality, not equal, right? This side is greater than that side. So, but the concept is similar to what we've just talked about. You want to get x by itself. The reason is because it says solve. So solve means to isolate the variable. Okay? So you have 2x plus 4 is greater than 10. Don't let this inequality throw you off. This is still the similar concept where you want to get rid of anything that's in the way of the variable here. So what is the opposite of plus 4? Okay, subtract 4. So what you have left is 2x is greater than 10 minus 4. Okay. Get x by itself. Here you have 2 times x. What's the opposite of times 2? So the 2 cancels out. X is alone greater than 6 divided by 2. Our final answer is read as x is greater than 3. Okay, so let's look at another one here. So if you're given 3x is less than negative 24. Okay. Solve means to find out what x is. Let's get x alone. So you have 3x is less than negative 24. Okay. You have x times 3. What is the opposite of x times 3? To get rid of the 3. Divide 3. Divide 3. Okay. So x is less than 24 divided by 3. I get 8. Negative divided by a positive, you could get negative. So here, our answer for this question is x is less than negative 8. Excuse me. All right. Now that we're warmed up, let's look at something a little bit more trivial. Here. Again, you're asked to solve for equations, but here, because we have greater than and less than signs, we call them, instead of equations, we'll call it inequalities. Okay, so solve for this inequality here. For x minus 3 is greater than x plus 9. Okay. For x minus 3 is greater than x plus 9. Get x by itself. In my case, I'm going to get x on the left. So let's move this x to the left side. If you have an x, the way to get rid of it is you can subtract it away. Okay, so minus x on both sides. 4x minus x, don't make it hard. This is 3x. Okay. You can assume there's a 1 in front of the x there if you like. So you can say, ask yourself, 4x minus 1x. 4 minus 1 is 3x. Okay. Minus 3 is greater than x minus x is 0. So what we have left is 9. What would you do next? How about let's get rid of the minus 3. What's the opposite of minus 3? Okay, so let's add 3 to both sides. That cancels out. 3x is greater than 9 plus 3. Okay. So here you have probably a good idea to read this to yourself. 3 times x is greater than 12. This way, if you want to undo the 3, you know what to do next. What is the opposite of times 3? Okay, so let's divide 3. Cancels out. X is greater than 4 divided, this gave you the answer, 12 divided by 3. Okay. So our final answer here, try reading this to yourself. X is greater than 4. Okay. Now, one thing to pay attention to is there might be some instances where you are going to divide by a negative number, and there's a special rule that applies. So make a note of this here, very important. What happens when you let's say, what happens to the inequality sign when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay, so let's look at an example here. Please make note that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, we are going to need to flip the sign. Very important. Okay, so let's give you 2x is greater than 18. 2x is greater than 18. Negative 2x is greater than 18, sorry. To solve, you want to get x by itself, so therefore we need to get rid of the minus 2. Here you have x times minus 2. So to undo it, we need to divide by minus 2. Divide by minus 2. Okay. So this cancels out. X is, remember this very, very important rule here. If you ever divide or multiply by a negative number, which we are doing now, we need to flip the sign. Therefore, the greater than sign becomes less than. Okay, now take 18 divided by 2, positive divided by a negative, and there it is. So the only difference here in this question, let's make it different from all the others, is we flip the sign. Okay? Instead of being x is greater than negative 9, it's x is less than negative 9. So let's look at another one here, where if you have x divided by a negative 7 is less than 3. Okay. Let's get x by itself. So x is being divided by negative 7 less than 3. Okay. So ask yourself, what is the opposite of divide negative 7? So if you say times negative 7, you are correct. Okay. So times negative 7. That cancels out. The negative 7 cancels out. X is, instead of less than, because we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, okay, we are multiplying by a negative 7. If you ever multiply or divide by a negative number, flip the sign. So instead of it being less than, the sign will become greater than. Now you take 3 times 7, positive times negative. So x is greater than negative 21.